Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome again to Free Speech and Social Media Conference. I want to welcome all of you again and all of those who joined us now for the fourth panel. But before kicking off the fourth panel, I'm going to remind you again about the tweeting competition. I think you're all tweeting, but the competition is about tweeting about the conference, about social media, about the new media, and the moderators and speakers of every panel are going to choose the top 2 or 3 tweets, and at the end 5 of you will be lucky enough to win valuable prizes and gifts from Samsung. And now the fourth session, it's entitled Online Social Activism and Responsibility. Please welcome the moderator of the session, Mr. Gabriel Diek, Vice President of the Internet Society ISOC Lebanon Chapter, who will introduce to us the session and the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here after this very nice lunch. I hope you are not feeling very sleepy. The main topic of our session is online activism and responsibility. We will do our best to have a meaningful yet relaxed and interactive discussion with our distinguished speakers. I've been told right now that activists do not wear ties, so during the session I will remove my tie. مش هلا بس. So I will start with our youngest and only lady speaker, Laura Schneider. She's coming from West Berlin, من الغربية يعني. In addition of being a renowned rock drummer, she plays drums. She is also fond of tiramisu and all kinds of desserts. And obviously she's working on designing a tool for measuring media freedom as part of her PhD thesis. This is great. Our second guest is Fadi Salim. Fadi Salim, Director of Governance and Innovation at the Dubai School of Government. Very serious stuff. They do very serious studies and they have extremely interesting figures on the use of social media in the Arab world. Fadi doesn't eat desserts at all, but he is a virulent online activist. Maybe he can tell us a little bit about his activities online. Our third guest is Walid Kanaan, the creative director actually of Impact BBDO. Although he is a pacifist, he is a big fan of action movies. 500 قتيل وبالطالع. أقل من هيك منه مهتم. He was involved in a major social campaign, the شايف حالك campaign. He will tell us more about it later in the discussion. Last but not least, our friend ربيع الشاعر، وهو شاعر عن حق وحقيق، بالإضافة إلى مسؤولياته في جمعية لادي الشهيرة. سوري LTA، بعتذر سوري. كيف عملت هيك غلطة؟ مش معقول. ربيع was part of the Jubran Twaini generation that instigated Nahar Shabab, an innovative activism environment at that time. He also participated in the latest Tunisian elections after the revolution, and I hope we will have enough time to talk about this experience too. So my first question will go to Rabia. Rabia, Alec Ross this morning talked about the shift of geopolitical power from hierarchies to citizens and communities, and that social media was an accelerator to social change. What is, in your opinion, the good thing of social media in social activism?
Sure. Do you mind if I switch
to Arabic?
To Arabic?
No, you can switch to Arabic, definitely.
So, yeah, she's aware. She's aware of that. But if you want me to speak in English, I will continue.
In Arabic, no problem.
So, خلينا نقول إنه أول
بس ربيع دقيقتين.
إيه. خليني لكان حط bullet points. أول شغلة نحن بنركز عليها بالمجتمع المدني هي الاكسس تو انفورميشن، حق الوصول للمعلومات، يلي هو غايب كليا بلبنان وما في تشريع حتى عليه. والاكسس تو انفورميشن اهميته انه بيعطي الشعوب تولز او قدرات لحتى اولا تحاسب المسؤولين، واثنين توعى اكثر كيف تشارك بالانتخابات لحتى تختار صح. اذا هيدا غايب عندنا بلبنان. والسوشيال ميديا اليوم بما انه كل المجتمع المدني هو جمعيات عم تدعم تطبيق حقوق، هو عم بيساهم بهيدا العمل، ولكن نحن بعدنا كثير بعاد عن انه تحقيق اهدافنا، للسبب انه الوصول للمعلومه شبه مستحيل عندنا ببلادنا، وبعدها الدوله متكتمه على كل المعلومات. بعطي مثل بالفرنسيه بيقولوا نول ني سونسي ignorer la loi، ما حدا لازم يجهل القانون. ما عندنا اكسي للقانون بلبنان للاسف. بفرنسا في عندهم ليجي فرانس، بتطلع بتشوف حيلا قانون بدك اياه، حيلا تعميم بدك اياه. بلبنان في تعتيم اكثر ما في تعميم. اذا هيدا اول قضيه لنا، واهميه السوشيال ميديا اللي عم نستخدمها بلبنان. ثاني قضيه، نحن بنعرف انه المجتمع المدني ما عنده ميديا بلاتفورم، يعني كل التلفزيونات كل الاذاعات شئنا ما بينها باخر المطاف هي مرتبطه باجنده سياسيه او تجاريه، وبالتالي مش بالضروره تحط مسائل المجتمع المدني باولوياتها، والمجتمع المدني ما عنده امكانيه ماديه لحتى يواجهها. ومن هيك نحن بنروح على السوشيال ميديا اكثر، بنوصل المعلومه بوقت اسرع وبكلفه اقل. ثالث شغله اللي عم نستخدمها وعم تفيدنا كثير نحن بلبنان هي انه عم نعطي ادله على التجاوزات. انت بتعرف القانون اللبناني كثير بيصعب القرينه، وانك تلاقي دليل. مثلا نحن بعملنا مكافحه الفساد كثير صعبه انك تثبت حدا انه بالفعل كان عم يعمل فساد او كان هو مسبب لفساد. وبالتالي اذا صورته وانتقلت الصوره عبر السوشيال ميديا، هيدي عم تخلينا نواجه اكثر السلطه، وبالتالي مش عم نحطها قدام الامر الواقع. ولا اختصر بعد رح اقول انه بالسوشيال ميديا مثلا خلق عندنا قاده راي كثير مهمين، انه عم نحكي بالمجتمع المدني ثرو السوشيال ميديا. مثلا بذكر نادين معوض المسؤوله عن النسويه، عندها 8000 فولور على تويتر. وبالتالي اليوم نادين معوض وقت اللي بيكون عم نحكي بالمجتمع المدني، وقت اللي بتحكي نادين معوض عندها تقل غير ما يحكي حدا ثاني، لانه بنعرف انه الناس مهتمه لقضاياها. وهيدا هو المجر اللي بنعتمده، انه قد في فولورز تقريبا لهيدا الشخص او لشخص اخر. ما رح اوقف هون لانه بتصور خلصوا دقيقتين.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this يعني general view. I want to have the opinion of Fadi from an Arab perspective on the same thing.
Thanks. As Rabia said, sorry, I'm switching to English, but to balance the panel. As Rabia said, this is Lebanon, as Rabia explained, is a snapshot of what's happening in the Arab world. If we look at the Arab revolutions over the past 2 years, deconstruct them, they have three main elements. There's a demographic revolution of young people, large number of youth bulge, what you call a youth bulge, and unemployment, massive unemployment. And then you have the social revolution, which is new norms in society developing and people accepting freedoms and democratic and economic freedoms. And then there's a technological revolution with a massive number or a critical mass of users of social media, internet, and mobile phones. And the majority, according to our research in the Arab Social Media Report, the majority of them are under 30 years of age, which is representative of what's happening in the Arab world, which is the largest number in society is the younger group, the younger than 30 years of age. So what that means is that there was three areas where the Arab societies in the past, before the past 2 years, lacked. One, it lacked free media in general, and then it lacked civil society movements that function, and there was no representative bodies that represent society in terms of parliaments and other freely and in a representative way. Then you have this critical number of social media users, which according to our research is around today 52 million users across the region, and they started using social media to fulfill that need, this lack of independent media, civil society ability to, and the representative bodies. So they filled that gap. And in each country that had some sort of representation or they have that gap fulfilled somehow by traditional channels, social media was less impactful in that area. And so in countries where these three elements were lacking, like for example Syria or Tunisia previously and Egypt, these social elements or networks in society which flatten this information flow enabled these groups in the society to take that action and act as civil society movements. I can stop here and maybe come back to this later.
Great. I will ask Laura about your perspective coming from the West about all this, and especially in the perspective of what you are trying to achieve in terms of freedom of information, and how do you compare, how do you measure freedom, the impact of freedom of information in countries like ours in the Middle East or more advanced countries like Europe and America?
Yeah. As my colleagues talked about Lebanon and the Arab world, I would like to generalize a little bit this point of view, but also underline it. I think that talking about democracy and all the different panels and talking about, or seeing the title of the conference, which is Free Speech and Social Media, I would like to stress the very important role of social media, not only for social activism, but also for media freedom or free speech, for example, in general. And I think that there are several communication freedoms that are part of media freedom in general that are influenced in a very positive way by social media. And this is of course, the freedom of expression, the freedom of speech, the freedom of opinion. So people via the social media can express their opinion, they can cover news, they influence the news agenda and also express critique publicly. And of course, as I think you already mentioned, the freedom of information, which I think is a very, very crucial point, because the social media, by doing all that they can do and what we have been talking about, obviously expand the range of publicly available information, and they also cover points and topics that are banned and blocked by traditional media. So I think this communication freedom of information is a very crucial point in the connection between social media and media freedom in general, not only for the Arab countries, but also, and very, very importantly, for the Western countries as well.
Do you have some figures or findings that are related to your latest survey?
What I think is, I think it's very important, especially in the countries where media freedom is limited. And I talked, I did a survey in a study last summer, and I asked about 1,000 experts from all over the world, 124 countries, about the importance of media freedom, of social media for media freedom. And interestingly, the experts from countries with restricted media freedom, like also, of course, the Arab world, the Middle East, Africa, and Asia in particular, said that social media are very, very important for media freedom. And in contrast to that, experts from Europe, Australia, the US said that social media are not that important. So I think in countries where people cannot really rely on the traditional media, well, maybe Lebanon is a special case, but in other countries, obviously, social media are the only way to get the information that people need. So.
Yes, thank you, Laura.